Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap, and you've arrived at the Autumn Glow Page Kit Workshop. I've got my kit, my instructions, my trimmer, my accordion pocket file. It's all ready to go. Let's get started. If you've been here before, you know that the first thing we will do is set aside all of the embellishments, isolating just the papers. And I also want you to keep the photo mats that came in your kit as well. So I've got the 12 by 12 papers, the Cutaparts, and the photo mats. Then I'll take my accordion pocket file, slide it under my trimmer base so it stays supported and upright, and that way we can file everything into one of these 4 pockets. Now I say this all the time, if you don't have the accordion pocket file, don't worry. Simply maintain 4 separate piles, maybe use a sticky note to label them 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, so that we know where all of our parts and pieces go. I'll put a link in the description below in case you need to get yourself set up with your own accordion pocket file. I've got a starter kit and a workshop video to help you make one. So for starters, let's get these photo mats filed and sorted out. We're going to be using 3 of the yellow photo mats, 1, 2, 3, in pages 1 and 2. Take 3 of those dark orange photo mats for pocket 3 and 4. All 3 of the ivory will be used in layouts 5 and 6, and then all 3 of this plum color is going to be used in pocket 7 and 8. That worked out really nicely. Next, we're going to take the paper itself and place it into the order we'll be trimming it. So there is a print that has smaller leaves on it. Put one of those face down on your trimmer, and then grab one of those larger leaf prints and put that face down. Next up, we'll trim 1 sheet of the dark orange. So you have a light orange and a dark orange, pretty easy to tell if you have them side by side. You can tell which is which. The darker orange also has a linen-like texture. Take 1 piece of that, put it like texture side down on your trimmer, and then one of the plum, which also has a felt finish, put the finish side down. Then you have some Cutaparts here. Let's look for the one that has this border strip that says, "May we have patience for all the things that have not yet bloomed." Face down on that one, and then the other Cutapart with the other border strips and stuff on the edge. Place that face down. Next up, I want you to find 2 sheets of the light orange that is smooth on both sides. Then 2 pieces of the yellow, linen side down. Next, one of the plum, texture side down, and the remaining small leaf print. And finally, the large leaf print will be next with the very last piece of dark orange on top. And if you need to review that, just go ahead and rewind to heart's content. I'm going to flip everything over, and I am going to grab my 3 by 14 grid ruler. So instead of trimming this, which you could absolutely do, you can use a ruler to separate the pieces, and I'll show you how to do that next. But for now, I just want to mention, if you would like to trim it instead of tear it, you can just place your paper into the trimmer like this, with this leaf here, the smallest golden leaf in the lower left corner. Trim it at 9, and then slide it down and trim at 3. But to tear it, this is so nice. This is so super easy. I'm just going to take my ruler and position the print. So again, that orangish golden leaf is in the lower left corner. And I'll rest this against my trimmer base so it's level, and then I'll rest my ruler against the base ridge here so it's straight. Push down on the ruler and then pull up on the paper with your right hand. And that's going to create this beautiful strip. That's going to go into pocket 7 and 8. And when you file it, just make sure you do so kind of at an angle so that the paper flies out to the right here. Now, rotate the paper around so that you have another straight edge. Rest it up against the top of your trimmer, and then rest the edge of the blade against the top of the trimmer here too, so it's level. Then once again, grab the paper and pull up and toward you. And then this torn piece here, the smaller one, pocket 3 and 4. And then this piece from this middle section with the 2 torn edges, 7 and 8 on that. All right, that's it for that ruler for now. And then let's grab the large leaf print and place it in the trimmer so that the leaves are running across the top edge. Our first cut on this one will be at 10 and a half. So I'm going to find 10, go left 2 columns to grow the number to 10 and a half. And let that piece lay where it landed. And then now let's go down to the 5.5 inch mark Stabilize by pushing down on the clear bar. Very good. These two pieces, the large one and the medium size one, both go in pocket or pile 5 and 6. And then the small skinny guy that's left over, pocket 1 and 2. The next sheet in your pile should be that dark orange. We're going to cut this at 8 inches and 4 inches. And then rotate the 4-inch piece that's in your trimmer and cut it at 6. Both of the pieces are placed in pocket 1 and 2. The next 4-inch piece will trim at 11.5 and 5 3/4. So again, if you find the 5, you go 1, 2, 3 columns left. That's 5 3/4. Both of these pieces that are larger go in pocket 5 and 6. And I do believe this is the only scrap we're going to have today. So that little guy wasn't used. The final 4x12 will trim at 11, 10, 9, and then 4.5. Both of these rectangular shaped pieces, pocket 3 and 4. And then you have these little strips. 2 of them go in 3 and 4, and the other one, pocket 7 and 8. Next, we're at the plum. We're going to cut some narrow strips here. So we'll find 11 3/4. You're 1 column away from the 12. Then 11.5. Then 10 3/4. 9.5. And notice that I'm just letting the paper pile up. 7 1/4. And 3 3/4. Rotate so this is horizontal and cut at 11 1/4, 7.5, 3 3/4. Gather up the, I think they're square. Yeah, they're squares. That fell. They all go in pocket 7 and 8. And there will be a really small little piece laying there. We're going to use that in pocket 3 and 4. Can't remember how, but I guess we use it there. Then the next strip on your pile, this is 3.5 by 12 right now. We're going to cut this one at 9, 6, and 3. Gather up all of those rectangles that you made. They should all be the same size. Pocket 1 and 2. The next strip, right now it's 2 1/4 by 12. We'll cut at 9 3/4, 6.5, 3 1/4. The piece in your trimmer right now, pocket 1 and 2. The next one that fell, 5 and 6. Then the next one, 7 and 8. And there's a smaller piece, that's a square, pocket 3 and 4. Now I'm just going to pick up all these little strips. The largest one that remains, pocket 3 and 4. Then you have a medium and then 2 really small strips. They all go in 1 and 2. For the Cutaparts, I want to remove that paper that goes past the guide marks on each corner. For the first cut, I usually cut shy of the guide mark and then I rotate because now I can much more easily see where my blade is going to cut at the top and bottom edge of that print. I'll rotate again, get this edge, rotate again. This time I'll look at the number 12 here on my left. And then one more rotation to clean up that first cut that was a little shy of the mark. I can take all of these little pieces here and dispose of them. And make sure that we begin our trimming process with the words "in the golden glow of autumn." It should be on the right. And then we'll cut at 10.5, 9, 7.5, 5.5, and 3.5. All kinds of halvesies today. This large piece that's in your trimmer right now, pocket 1 and 2. The next 2 strips are a match. They go in 5 and 6. Then we have some little pieces to trim here. Make sure that the little leaves are on the right. We'll cut at 10.5, 9, 7.5, and 5. Grab scissors. You can take off the small leaf and then just like separate these two leaves that match. Okay, so one of the larger leaves, pocket 3 and 4. The other one, and I think this is a maple, they both go in pocket 7 and 8. You had this longer strip here for 5 and 6. Then you have this brighter square and the plum colored square. They both go in pocket 7 and 8. And then the yellowish orangish square, pocket 3 and 4. It doesn't really matter which, they all are the same size. And finally, the two remaining strips here, pocket 7 and 8. Grab your next sheet of Cutaparts and give it the same treatment where you're removing that outer perimeter so that when we start, we have a nice perfect alignment. If we didn't do this step, the gigantic trimmers that at the print shop just don't cut quite accurately enough, and then it would lead to some issues with it looking right. So we just want to make sure we get off on the right foot. I'll get rid of these little strips before we cut. Just make sure your narrow border strips are on the right, and my first number is 11 and 10, 9.5, 7, and 4. All right, rotate, and then the word cozy should be on the right for trimming at 9.5 and 6. All right, this goes into pocket 3 and 4. And this middle one, and then the small cozy one, they both go in 5 and 6. This piece here with the journaling on the right, we're going to start at 10, and then 8, and 6. Oh, that chill in the air, pocket 3 and 4. Then we have a horizontal journaling prompt 1 and 2, a vertical for 5 and 6, and a vertical prompt, meaning it's positioned this way, that goes in 7 and 8. This wide strip here, pocket 1 and 2. And now this next strip, I'm just gonna separate fall is in the air, the word of the spirit, and then the colors. So nature always wears the colors of the spirit. All that goes in pocket 1 and 2. And then fall is in the air is gonna go in pocket 3 and 4. And then we've got these two pieces here going into pocket 3 and 4. That is the last piece we've trimmed. Remember, all we had was the one scrap. That's pretty amazing. At this point, make sure you stabilize your accordion pocket file while you move your trimmer. So I usually lock the blade, set this aside, and then lay this on its back. Next, you can take those remaining papers you had set aside earlier, and I'm just going to take the whole stack and put it to the left of the center of my workspace, and then slide the top sheet to the right. And then that's going to give me the base for layouts 7 and 8, believe it or not. Now in my instructions, I'm going to turn back to page 4 at the bottom, and there's layouts 7 and 8. And as mentioned, the first listing in the ingredients is the light orange, left base and right base. So we're all queued up. And then we can take our pocket 7 and 8, remove everything from the pocket, and set the accordion pocket file aside again. And let's just see if we can place these pieces where they seem to want to go. So we're going to start out with this piece flush over at the top with the torn edge pointing down. And then I'm going to take this other larger piece and I'll place it vertically on the right with a little bit of air between the edge of the print and the edge of the paper. Next up, I'm going to add One Cannot Help But Believe in Magic. We'll put that one here. And then the other border strip is going to go around here. And the best way to figure out what the spacing is would be to put our purple or plum photo mat down, and that's going to go above it. And then you have the 3 squares will go above that, and they're going to go into the print a little bit. That's fine. Okay. Next, I have 2 vertical photo mats I'm going to use over here on the left. I had to grab one of the narrow strips of Plum out of pocket 1 and 2. That needs to be moved because I didn't see it. So that was pocket 7 and 8. Sorry about that. Yeah, a human moment. Okay, so that was in pocket 1 and 2, and it's used here on layouts 7 and 8. Then we have a journaling prompt here, and that has a purple or a plum mat for it. I'm going to place that kind of tucked behind this tilted mat. Once you fussy cut your leaf, that can go on top of that. The plum colored square can go right here. From your little embellishments, we've got this guy and the dark orange. You can round the corners with a corner punch here if you would like. We're taking the Feeling Grateful, and you'll just wrap a little bit of this ribbon around to the back. So I'll just trim a piece for this. And you can secure that with tape. I mean, it's not really designed to hold anything unless you like want to throw something in there. Wrap these ends around to the back and then top it with this square. So cute. And then finally, this little leaf can be fussy cut and added to your little journaling prompt right here. That's 7 and 8. Taking a look at my finished pages, I'm going to share just a few tips with you, starting with layout 8. Here we have the rounded corners looking so pretty with my fussy cut leaf. Just follow the little glow that you have on the artwork with your scissors, and that'll make it look like the perfect little sticker. And this is just extremely simple and very straightforward. There's no foam adhesive or anything used on this layout. Now I did do something kind of fun here where I used a craft knife. So I cut a slot on the left side of this sentiment here and on the right edge of it, and then threaded ribbon beneath. Actually, I had this attached to the page before I decided to do that. So as you can see all the way through where here's the end of my ribbon, and then it's going behind the sentiment and then wrapped around again on the other side. This is all, the rest of it is very straightforward, and that step is completely optional. If you don't feel comfortable slicing with the craft knife, you can omit the step or do something different with that ribbon. So I did have a question from a viewer asking why we don't assemble the pages with adhesive as we go. And really, ultimately, it's kind of a time saver for me and for you with viewing this workshop. If we glued everything down together, it would probably double the length of the workshop. But what you can do right now, if you would prefer, is stop the video, grab your adhesive, stick everything down, and then move on to the next set of pages. I know a lot of people like to get their pages all the way stacked up to layout number 1, slide it back into the bag, and then when they get together with their friends for some crafty time, that's when they stick everything down, because you don't have to concentrate quite as hard as you do when you're doing that trimming and filing and working with all those numbers. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to take the base of this layout 7 here and slide it onto layout 8. And then I'm going to pick up one sheet of this yellow, and now I have a pair of yellow in front of me, which matches up with layouts 5 and 6 right here. Oh, and as I'm addressing that question, another reason maybe to wait is in case something got misfiled. Like, in our case, we misfiled something into a wrong pocket, and we were able to correct that easily. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. I'm going to think this piece goes down over here. I'm going to allow a little of the yellow to peek through. And then we have our gorgeous other part on this side. And then I did actually go ahead and tear away the edge of this. It just gives it a nice look, even because it already does have that torn edge look that Jacqueline, my designer, put on there. But it's totally up to you if you want to take the time to do that. I'll show you how this looks compared to the torn version on my finished layout. Then you should be able to puzzle in 2 ivory mats and then just make everything fit. And then this one will be vertical right here. Then you have the 2 rust colored mats here. Plum for backing your journaling prompt. And then I just tucked this guy behind it. And then 2 Cutaparts right here. Well, that was easy. Sweater weather. Okay. I love how easy this is. Okay, let's take a look at the page on the right. This I untwisted the little rope that we have in there just to reveal a little bit of a skinnier layer, crisscrossed it and tied it in a knot. Here I stretched some of that satin ribbon around the strip, and you can see how it's got the torn edge now. And then I tied some of that cord onto the ribbon and then finished with one of those beautiful golden leaf charms. So I'll add that to the page there. On the facing page, I mimicked the ribbon trick, so I just stretched this across and then tied a bow with the cord. Torn edges here really, I think, add a nice touch, especially with the ivory photo mats here. Take this base, slide it over to the right so it sits on top, and then grab the plum, bring that to the right, and that should give us what we see on, if you back up in your instructions, layouts 3 and 4, and of course we need everything from that pocket. All right, 3 and 4. Looks like we're gonna place this piece kind of across the middle. Sometimes I like to get rid of those strips first. And then one of these decorative strips goes below, and the other is paired up with the plum mat. For spacing, I'm gonna start with this big cut apart, and then the other 2 short photo mats gonna be overlapped there with another one beneath it. This is the actual full-size photo mat. It's gonna help you with your placement. 2 of these guys are gonna be here. And you've got a little spot to fit with fall is in the air. So just kind of reduce the size of this to fit into the box. Then 2 vertical photo mats here on the lower right of the left page, and then this is going to kind of lay over. I guess I have this on top. The photo mat sits on top of the cut apart. And then just a little arrangement of things. Oh, I forgot about the dark orange goes first, then the other piece. And we used the sweet little So Very Blessed with this and some ribbon. This little leaf will go here. And the square is worked in right here. I think I rounded some corners and stapled some ribbon on the finished project. But this is your placement. So basically, if you're wondering, I just need to chop off a tiny little bit here. So the width of my purple is 3 3/4. So make it so the fall is in the air. Make it so it's 3 1/2. Okay, and that will fit on there perfectly. On the finished page, we've got our fussy cut leaf here. So pretty on there. And really there's nothing else incredibly difficult about this. I did add some of the cord to the top of the tag. I didn't mention that on the other tag. And then right over here, I've got my Petersham ribbon wrapped around the bag with another square on top. This was just folded in half and stapled here, and then finished with that gold leaf, which I'll grab and just add that right there. Now I'm going to pick up the base of this layout and slide it on over, and this slides on over, leaving us the base. Let's see, I think I had it situated like this, the base for layouts 1 and 2. And we need to empty pocket 1 and 2. There's some little sentiments in there. Make sure I get them out. Here, we'll start out with this big, or this little rather, strip left over from the other print. And then the large cut apart with our sentiment here. Sorry about the glare. I'm still working on trying to solve that. And I can't even figure out where the light is coming from because I have all the lights are off in my office, and I can't figure out. Anyway, just bear with me. I hope you can see okay. This is going to stretch across here with this little strip. On the left side, I'm going to add the photo mat horizontally in the center of the page. And I actually used a ruler and it had it exactly in the center, just a little bit of air on the right and left. And then I've got one in the upper and one slightly lower here, nesting with the dark orange. And that's the purpose of that, is to bring that color over to this side of the layout. Now, let's see, I've got a series of 4 rectangles that are all the same size to go above and below my centered yellow mat. I love how that fits together. I have a mat for my journaling prompt, so that can be placed here. And then the only thing left is this long strip with Nature Always Wears the colors of the spirit. So just trim this to fit these sentiments, and those are going to get placed on this side of the layout. I've got some fun ribbon tricks here I want to show you as well. So on the right side, here is the nested Nature Always Wears. I rounded the right corners of the text and the mat with my 1/4 inch, with my smallest radius on my corner rounding punch. I thought that added a nice look to it. Down over here, once again, I did my little trick by tying some cord onto the wider ribbon and adding my gold leaf. Then on the facing page, same old trick, added the ribbon, the cord, and the leaf, which I'll then bring on over here so that we can find it. And that really is the final piece. Wasn't that fun and easy? Now, if this is your first time trying the Club Scrap way for your scrapbook pages, I'm sure that was moving pretty quickly for you. I hope you used the pause button liberally, but as you get more and more experience with measuring and trimming and this whole method, you're gonna love how your pages come together. I do wanna challenge you now, especially if this is your first time, to go ahead and stick everything down. Don't worry about the pictures yet, okay? Just get these pages done as you see them in the instructions, and then go to your photos, look for colors that coordinate with the colors that we have here. Allow color to be your #1 choice and bring your photos to your completed pages. You will be amazed at how quickly they come together. Now, if you liked this autumn glow theme, we also have rubber stamps. They're clear. We have rubber stamps that match this collection. We also have a full card kit where you make a dozen cards with me, and we follow the same protocol of sorting the paper, trimming the paper, scoring the paper, and then assembling it into cards. It's so much fun. A lot of our members actually belong to the page kit and the card kit, get them shipped together, and they just do it all. So if you're not yet a member of Club Scrap, I encourage you to give us a try. It's guaranteed. If you're not happy, you can quit at any time. And also, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you just hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment if you would like as well. I always love hearing from you. And I look forward to seeing you in another Club Scrap workshop again soon. Until next time, happy creating.